Chester along I-95 right around the Essington area. That's where you're seeing the potential for this dangerous storm that does have the potential to produce a tornado. I'm going to take you to our velocity sweep. This is what we look for when we're looking for a tornado signature, and you can see we've got the green embedded within the red there, just an indication that there may be some rotation happening as that particular cell moves across the river and across the bay into portions of Gloucester and Salem counties right now. So taking you back to a look at this cell. Again, this storm, we are not even under a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch, but this particular storm, you can kind of see the hook shape there, that bow echo that we look for as this storm moves east across that region, and that has prompted the tornado warning because a little bit of rotation has been detected on Doppler radar. So again, as we zoom in on some of the areas that are most likely to be in the path of this dangerous storm, we'll zoom in kind of close so you can see where you are. If you're in Gibbstown, if you're in Rapapo, if you're in East Greenwich, if you're in Paulsboro, these are the areas that are under this tornado warning right now. It goes until 8:45 tonight, and it is an indication that this storm could be producing, again, a tornado which will likely be rain-wrapped and difficult to see as this cell moves east. So one more look at where that tornado warning box is. It's the extreme southern and eastern corner of Delaware County here. As we zoom up here, you can see right around Hog Island Road, just south of the airport. That area is in the tornado warning box, and then it extends down into portions of Gloucester County, Woolwich Township, Mullica Hill, over toward Glassboro and East Greenwich, Oldmans, Carneys Point, spots like that in Salem County also included in that tornado warning. And again, that goes until 8:45 tonight. So I'm going to pull up some stats on this storm as it continues to move east. We're seeing it move at a pretty good clip here. So it's moving east at 25 miles an hour. It's about 7 miles east of Wilmington. So I'm going to track this and tell you where this storm is headed next as it continues on this trajectory, moving about 25 miles to the east. So that would put it in Washington Township about 8:24. So in 4 minutes from now, this potentially dangerous storm over Washington Township. Gloucester at about 8:27, and then Winslow at 8:34, and in Chemung by about 8:44 tonight. The storm moving east at 25 miles an hour, and it is capable of producing a tornado. We're seeing radar indicated rotation. So if this storm is producing a tornado, it does have the capability of doing damage to roofs, to homes, to siding, and places like that. And it does look as though it's got that typical bow echo hook that we look for when these storms start to head east, and that's what it's doing across the region right now. So if I stop this radar imagery, what I want to show you is where we're looking at a little bit of an inflow notch with this storm just south of the area right now, and we now have a flash flood warning that just popped up on the radar picture as well. So here's a look at that tornado warning box. That goes until 8:45. Right now, Salem and Gloucester counties, and you may have just heard an alert go off on your phones if you had the emergency alert system activated. A flash flood warning has also been issued, and that does include the city of Philadelphia. So as these storms are moving through, they are very, very heavy rain, certainly the biggest threat. But these areas just south of the city did see some sunshine today. They did heat up a little bit today, and that's what's causing these storms to turn severe as they move through these areas with greater instability. So again, there's your tornado warning zone. I want to go ahead and try to pull up the flash flood warning, and excuse me as I bend down and look at the computer here, but let's pull up that flash flood warning for you, and you can see where that's located. That's further to the north and to the west. So the areas where you see that dark kind of maroon shading, that is your flash flood warning, and that means flash flooding is currently happening. That means roads may be flooded. If you head out tonight, or you know someone that may be out on the roadways, if you see standing water or rushing water on the roads, turn around, don't drown. Flash flooding is occurring, and that flash flood warning right now, this one in particular that I've highlighted, is for Chester, Delaware, and Newcastle counties. That goes until 11:45 tonight. We also have one a little further north here for portions of Bucks, Montgomery counties, and the city of Philadelphia, and that goes until 12:15 tonight. But of course, the most dangerous situation on the map right now is our tornado warning. I'm going to highlight that for you. That's the area you see shaded in red there. The southeastern or most eastern corner of Delaware County, and also especially Gloucester County and Salem counties in New Jersey right now under a tornado warning, and that goes until 8:45. And here's the storm that's producing it. So you can see what we look for is that hook shape, and you see the center of the storm with the hook extending from it, a little bit of a notch happening. Let me draw, kind of indicate what I'm looking at here. When you see some notching form right about here, that's where you could see a potential for some rotation happening. And that's right along 295 right now. So we are continuing to track the system as it moves east at about 25 miles per hour. Let's zoom in on these areas, and I'll tell you which areas are kind of in the midst of it right now. And keep in mind, this storm capable of producing flash flood warnings as well, and has produced flash flood warnings north and west of the city. So this is producing very heavy rain. If this system is producing a tornado, it's not going to be visible. It's not going to be something like you see out in the Midwest where you can see it coming on the horizon. You're probably not going to know it's happened until after it has happened. So you have to play it safe and get into shelter. By that I mean a basement, an interior room away from windows, a powder room, a closet, things like that usually work best as far as places to stay protected from any potential damage to your home. Deptford, Woodbury Heights, West Deptford, right up toward Woodbury. These are the areas where the storm is moving through right now. Let's track it out again. Again, it's moving east at about 25 miles per hour. The center of that storm, you can see that the line extending from it right now goes down into portions of down into Cumberland County. It's moving toward Atlantic County, but the center of the low, that's where we're seeing some of that radar indicated rotation right now. That's where the most dangerous part of that storm is. We're now starting to see a little bit of that rotation signature extend eastward, closer toward Woodbury, closer to Belmar as well. So I'm not sure if they're going to extend this tornado warning at all. But let's take a look at where this is headed next. So we'll start with the center of the storm, which is right about here. To track this hook, and it's moving about 25 miles to the east, so we'll tell you where it's headed next. Gloucester by about 8:26, that's in a minute. Winslow Township by 8:36. Hamilton 8:41, this dangerous storm will be near you, and by 8:47 near Tabernacle. So even if this storm is not producing a tornado, it is very likely producing the threat for flash flooding with intense heavy downpours. There's a lot of moisture out there today. We were drawing in all that moisture from the Atlantic Ocean, and it just shows you how strong these storms are, because the atmosphere was not actually primed for severe weather today. It was a pretty stable atmosphere. We had a lot of clouds, temperatures below average, but these storms have exhibited some rotation as they've started to move through. And right now, again, a tornado warning remains in effect until 8:45. This was issued about 8:09 this evening, and these are the areas included. It's that box you see, that red shaded box, which does include portions of 322, portions of 295. It includes the city of Glassboro, of Mullica Hill, of East Greenwich as well. Let's see if we can pull up our Doppler rotation signature, and what you're looking for here is the green kind of embedded within the red. It's a little scattered on this particular sweep that we have, but you can kind of see where we're seeing that green embedded within the red, and that sweep, we just kind of lost that one, but we are seeing a little bit of that radar indicated rotation with this cell. So once again, it's a tornado warning for portions of Salem, Gloucester, and Delaware counties. I think if you're in southeastern Delaware County, the threat has probably passed for you. We're starting to see it move a little bit further to the east. So right now, as we pull up that radar signature again, we're seeing that storm move through Woolwich Township, move toward Gloucester very, very quickly. Again, the center of the storm is what we're looking at. That's where the best potential for rotation would be. So as I manipulate the radar and kind of zoom in, right about here, around Mantua Grove, around Deptford, that's where we're going to see the greatest likelihood of some rotation occurring. And of course, as we've seen this severe weather season, we have had a number of tornado touchdowns in our general area. And even if we're not under a watch, we don't have many severe thunderstorm warnings, even if it's just one particular cell, it can be very dangerous or even deadly. Just earlier this evening, we had a report of 2 people at a park in western Pennsylvania, in Westmoreland County, killed by a lightning strike. These storms, even these singular cells, like the one we're seeing right now, can produce very, very dangerous conditions, including not only a tornado, but damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles an hour, as well as large hail, and of course the threat for those isolated downpours leading to flash flooding. So these storms have really been producing a lot of rain as they've been moving east into the area, and we do indeed now have an extension of our tornado warning. Let's zoom in and you can see the areas that have now been included in our tornado warning box. This now goes until 9 o'clock. It includes portions of Burlington, now Camden and Gloucester counties. So all these areas shaded in this bright red color, Gloucester County, into Evesham, Medford Lake, Chemung, down toward Waterford. That's where this storm is headed. I'll zoom in on a few more spots here and tell you which areas. If you're in these areas, you should take shelter immediately. If you're in Tandsboro, Bishops, Berlin, West Berlin, up toward Crescent, up toward Evesham, Fox Hollow Woods, and eventually toward Medford Lakes and Medford, that's where this storm is headed next. So as I told you, I was seeing on the rotation signature on our velocity product that rotation was moving a little bit further to the east, and certainly they saw that as well at the National National Weather Service and extended the tornado warning further to the east. So right now, there's the storm that's moving east. You're seeing some pretty heavy downpours around Gloucester, also back toward Belmar. Heavy rain in the city of Philadelphia, where we now have a flash flood warning. And of course, what a flash flood warning means is that flash flooding is occurring. So we'll pull up the flash flood warnings as well, so you can see which areas are included in that box. So the tornado warning is the bright red that you see there over portions of Gloucester County, portions of Camden County, and into Burlington County as well. The darker red shaded areas that you see there on the map closer to the city of Philadelphia, those are flash flood warnings. Those go until closer to midnight. So as these storms moved through, they've been producing rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour, leading to flash flooding on area roadways. And of course, a very dangerous situation. You do not want to drive through standing or rushing water on a road. It doesn't take much, not much more than a couple of inches to potentially lift a car or truck and pose a life-threatening situation. So if you're in these areas, just play it safe. If you have to go out later tonight, if you know areas that are prone to flooding, if you live along one of our smaller creeks and streams, expect that those roads may be flooded out, and find an alternate route that'll keep you on dry land. Those flash flood warnings go until about midnight tonight. So again, our tornado warning, our initial tornado warning, did include portions of Delaware County. It's now been extended further east into New Jersey. So Camden, Gloucester, and Burlington counties, that's where this storm is now. I'll pull it back up for you. And again, you can see the center of the storm moving right through Gloucester right now. And I think that's the area that has the greatest risk of seeing a tornado, seeing some rotation. I'm going to try to pull up our shear track, shear signature. What that means, shear shows you it shows you any kind of rotation in the environment, and our Doppler radar can actually track any potential shear. So if I turn off the radar and we take a look at where the shear tracks are, you can see the purple, an indication of where the best rotation was. So that storm, you can see where the blue was. It moved across portions of Newcastle County and Delaware. And now we're still seeing where you see those purple blobs basically across portions of Gloucester County and portions of Cumberland County as well. That's where the best rotation is. So pulling that system back up for you, there is the storm we're watching with the tornado warning associated with it. I'm going to pull up that tornado warning for you once again, and it has now been extended until 9 o'clock, and that goes through portions of Gloucester, Camden, and Burlington counties. Once again, and it has now been extended until 9 o'clock, and that goes through portions of Gloucester, Camden, and Burlington counties. And I want to stress that we've seen this multiple times so far this severe weather season. We're not very prone to tornado touchdowns in our area, but we've had several already. So you have to take this seriously. If you're in that tornado warning box, seek shelter immediately. We're talking a basement if you have it. If you don't have it, any kind of interior low-level room, a closet, a powder room, away from windows, as far as you can get away from the windows. That's where you want to be if you're in these areas right now. Again, portions of Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester counties right now in that tornado warning, and that goes until 9 o'clock. Let's pull up that velocity signature once again. I'm starting to see it weaken just a little bit. I think we're starting to lose a little bit of that rotation, but you can see right around Deptford, right around Pittman, Washington Township. You see that green there? That's what we look for. We look for an area. What that means is you have winds that are actually blowing away from the radar sensor, and the winds surrounding it are blowing towards the radar sensor, so you get that indication that there's some rotation in the wind field happening. And when we talk about a Doppler indicated tornado, that's what we're looking for. So generally speaking, in our area, it's tough to spot a tornado. We sometimes will see a funnel cloud in the afternoon, but it's tough. You don't see them coming like you do in the plains because we've got a lot of trees, tends to be rain wrapped. We tend to have very heavy downpours. So what we look for is that rotation signature on Doppler radar. If we see that, we see a tornado warning issued, and then we go back, or the National Weather Service goes back the next day to kind of assess the damage, and they can tell by the wind path, by the path of damage or destruction left behind by one of these thunderstorms, if it was produced by a tornado or a straight line wind event, which we have seen as well over the past couple of weeks. So once again, on Storm Scan 3, there's your storm. It's moving actually over the Philadelphia area right now. The best threat of rotation is further to the south and east, but look at that heavy rainfall. Let's zoom in on this right over the city of Philadelphia. It is pouring rain outside. We've got that red shading indicating rain falling, excuse me, likely at the rate of 1 or 2 inches per hour, and that is right along I-95. Right through the city of Philadelphia, right along 676, the Vine Street Expressway, and down into portions of South Jersey as well. The rain coming down at a very good clip. So if there is a tornado, it's going to be rain wrapped. It's going to be completely impossible to see. You've got to trust the rotation signature and play it safe. play it as though a tornado is actually on the ground in your area right now and seek shelter immediately. Again, if you are in this warned zone. Let's pull that up for you once again. And they're starting to kind of scale it back as the storm moves east. So you can see the first tornado warning has started to be scaled from east to west. But we're still seeing a tornado warning across portions of Gloucester County, portions of Camden County, and portions of Burlington County. And it was extended as that rotation signature, that embedded rotation, was detected moving further east. So right over Gloucester right now, Waterford, Evesham Township, these areas in a tornado warning, and that goes until 9 o'clock tonight. I want to see if we see any updates from the National Weather Service as far as when this tornado warning may be expired. If the rotation signature starts to weaken a little bit, we may see this be retired early. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm still seeing a little bit of a rotation signature near Lindenwold, near Clementon, near Gibbsboro. If you're in those areas right now, that's probably the height of the storm and the best potential for these damaging winds and a potential tornado. So it's starting to weaken just a little bit, but there is still some rotation detected on Doppler radars. So let's pull this out, and once again, we'll track these storms for you and tell you where they are going and where they are headed next. This system is moving about 25 miles an hour to the east, so that'll put it near Winslow by 8:40, Evesham by 8:41, so that's about 5 to 10 minutes from now. Southampton by 8:52 and Galloway Township by 9 o'clock tonight, and that is when that warning will expire. So this storm producing not only the threat for a tornado, but heavy, heavy rainfall. We've got flash flood warnings blanketing the Philadelphia metro, including the city of Philadelphia. And here's a live look out our weather window right now. This is from our roof cam, and you can see just how heavily the rain is falling. Those dark clouds, it is coming down at a very, very good clip. Just a few moments ago, we heard all of our phones go off with that EAS alert, that emergency alert system alert, telling us that a flash flood warning has been issued. And there's a look at our library camera as well, showing the heavy rain likely ponding on the roadways and any roads that are adjacent to some of the smaller creeks and streams, or even the larger rivers in our area that do tend to experience flooding during these heavy rainfall events, like the Admiral Wilson Boulevard, portions of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. These areas may be experiencing flooding as we go through the remainder of tonight. So once again, let's zoom back in on the storm that is producing a potential tornado. Here it is. This is now moving right through Gloucester Township, right through Berlin, right through Evesham. These are the areas where I'm seeing the best rotation signature, right around Lindenwold, right around Pine Hill. That's where we're still seeing that Doppler indicated rotation as this storm continues to move east at about 25 miles per hour. So what you're seeing over Philadelphia as we look toward Belmar, Mantua, that's likely very heavy rainfall, but it's out ahead of that we're seeing that rotation signature. Again, you can see that hook. This is what we're looking at. When we look at a cell like this one, is this hook shape. So there's the center of the storm right there, and then there's the hook that turns it into what we call a supercell thunderstorm. And a supercell thunderstorm is a thunderstorm that does exhibit some rotation. And when you see that bow echo, that hook shape like that, it's a very good indication, especially when you have a discrete cell like this one. It's not a squall line, it's a discrete cell with some rotation embedded within it, and that's what has prompted the tornado warning. So if you're in these areas, if you're in Camden, Gloucester, or Burlington County, you want to seek shelter immediately, at least until 9 o'clock. That gives you 20 minutes or so until this warning expires. If the rotation signature does start to weaken, I think they may expire this early. It does look like it's weakening. However, this storm is still exhibiting some Doppler indicated rotation as we speak. And not only that, producing very strong gusty winds, frequent dangerous cloud to ground lightning. I don't see much in the way of hail. Let's turn back on our lightning layer. It's actually not even, our lightning layer is on, surprisingly. It's not even producing that much in the way of lightning. Not a ton of lightning with this. It's mostly heavy rain, but that little rotation potential leading to the potential for a tornado. So again, right now it's most likely moving through Camden and Burlington counties. That's where you're seeing the best likelihood of a potential tornado. So let's pull up our tornado warning once again. I'll go through once again some of the spots that are contained in this tornado warning. This is Berlin, Ivystone Farms, Pine Hill, Bishop Wood, Turnersville. There's Lindenwold. So again, that's what I was seeing when I looked at the rotation signature. That velocity couplet that we look for was right around Lindenwold, and I think that's where the greatest winds are occurring occurring as we speak right now. Fox Hollow Woods over toward Alluvium, Gibbsboro, Voorhees as well, Cresson up toward Evesham. These are the areas that are in the greatest threat zone right now for a potential tornado. And again, any of those areas you see anything shaded in the red is under a tornado warning. That means it's not different than a watch. A watch means conditions are favorable. A warning means it is happening as we speak. The potential for a tornado is happening right now. So if you're in these areas, seek shelter immediately until this warning expires, and we will let you know the minute that it does expire. Let's take you back out to that storm. Again, there it is, and really that's all we have on the radar picture across our region is that one singular cell with the bow echo hook extending from the tail end of it, and it's now moving east into portions of Camden and Burlington County. So we're seeing them cancel that tornado warning for parts of the region over portions of Salem County. That has been canceled. Delaware County, that has been canceled. But into Burlington and Camden counties, we're still seeing enough of that Doppler indicated rotation to keep the tornado warning box in effect. I also want to draw your attention to another threat, which is flash flooding. And we do have a flash flood, two flash flood warnings actually currently in effect for the Philadelphia area. So let's pull those back up for you, and you can see where they're located. These are really in the Philly metro and the nearby suburbs. So one box, so you can see that dark red shaded box there over much of Delaware County, portions of Chester County, and into Newcastle County, Delaware. That's a flash flood warning that goes until 11:45 this evening. And then they just issued this new one here. This is for Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia, also portions of the Northeast and right up into lower Bucks and lower Montgomery counties as well, including Marion, including up toward Abington, Ben Salem, a flash flood warning, and that goes until 12:15 a.m. So the flash flood threat is going to hang around a little bit longer than our tornado warning threat will. But here's the tornado warning right now. Again, you can see they're starting to scale back these boxes just a little bit. This still from the original tornado warning that goes until 8:45. That's right now over portions of Gloucester County. Still kept it in place for that tiny, tiny little section of Delaware County, but it looks like the threat has moved out of that area. The area that I'm most concerned about right now is this warning box for Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester counties. A tornado warning in effect until 9 o'clock this evening. That went into effect at 8:38. They've just kind of renewed it or kind of scaled down the box, and now you're looking at the current focus zone for that tornado warning as the storm continues to move east. So here it is right now as we continue to look at this potentially tornadic cell, the supercell thunderstorm, moving right through. Again, here are the areas we're focusing on: Voorhees, Green Tree, Evesham. Now, these are not the areas that currently have the heaviest rain. So you may be thinking, if you're in these areas, you may not be really hearing the rain coming down very heavily and think, you know, it doesn't sound all that bad out there. But the rotating winds of a potential tornado, especially a small, weak tornado like what we would see on a night like tonight, can cause damage and can come out of nowhere. So if you're in these areas, again, if you're in Voorhees, if you're in Lindenwold, if you're in Evesham, you should be in shelter right now. You should be in the basement, an interior room, or a closet away from windows, because we have seen what tornadoes can do in our area. Just this year, we've had several tornado touchdowns and tons of damage from not only the tornadoes, but also the straight line wind events that we've seen so far this season. The heaviest rain just shifting out of the Philadelphia area, still over I-95, but portions of Camden and Gloucester counties are in the thick of it right now. Look at that rain from Cherry Hill down through Haddonfield, Belmar, down toward Hilltop. Wherever you see that dark red shading, that's where we're seeing the heaviest rainfall come down right now. So it is straight pouring in Haddonfield down towards Summerdale. Heavy enough to cause the threat for flash flooding, especially in the wake of the rain that came through this morning. The ground is saturated, had a lot of ponding out there this morning, and now we're getting these heavy rainfall rates with these thunderstorms moving through, leading to the risk for flash flooding. So once again, your tornado warning is still in effect for much of Camden County and also much of Burlington County, including the cities of Evesham, Medford Lakes, and Berlin, down toward Gloucester as well, Voorhees, Green Tree, up toward Mount Laurel, and eventually into Medford. Let's take a closer, a wider look at this system, and it's starting to look a little bit more scattered in nature as we go through the last couple of frames of radar. It does look like it's weakening to me, but the center of that cell still quite strong. I'm going to pause this and pull up the track of this storm so we can see where it's kind of headed next. And in fact, I'm going to do it this way, because what we're really looking at is the center of this cell, and it's moving about 25 miles to the east. So that would put it in Voorhees by about 8:47. So 5 minutes from now, the center of that cell will move through Voorhees. By 8:54, we expect this storm to be over Evesham. By 9:03 into Medford, and hopefully by that point, we'll start to see the rotation signature on our Doppler radar picture weaken. I'm actually pulling up an app on my phone because the radar scope app here has a little bit of a better resolution as far as where that exact rotation signature is, and there's still just a little bit, very very weak but present rotation signature in portions of Burlington County, especially right now, and eastern Camden County. So I am still seeing that right now just around Gibbsboro, just around Springdale, and over toward Medford Lakes. That's where the storm is headed next. So we'll pull up that closer look at it, and you can see where the center of that cell is. Now, it's not looking like a classic supercell thunderstorm. We had the hook echo, the bow echo. Now it's starting to look a bit more scattered, so we're not seeing that very, very classic look of an actual with the inflow notch that we saw a couple of weeks ago with the storm that moved over portions of Northampton County, Lehigh County, and Bucks County. This is looking a little more scattered in nature, more of a heavy rain event. But a lot of times in an atmosphere like this, when you have an advancing cold front and wind flow off the Atlantic Ocean, what you're getting is rotating wind fields. So picture a cold front coming in, and behind that cold front, winds are out of the north and west. But out ahead of it, we've had a very, very strong and broad east wind flow all day today. So you've got two wind fields that are kind of coming at each other and rotating as you move higher in the atmosphere, and that's causing that potential rotation within this area of heavy rain. You see it every once in a while. Our threat for severe weather was very low today. It was a marginal risk for severe weather, but as we look live outside our weather cameras, you can see it has been pouring down rain. Flash flood warnings are in effect, and a lot of times in those areas of heavy rain, when you get a wind field like what we had today with that east wind off the ocean all day long, and now a strong cold front coming through, you are going to see a little bit of that rotating wind field, and sometimes that can cause a tornado to spin up. Usually weak tornadoes, usually short-lived tornadoes, but they can spin up in an atmosphere like this. And now we're looking at Cape May. Look how dark those clouds are. I know we're headed toward dusk. The sun has set about 15 minutes ago, but a very, very ominous looking sky as these storms start to move through. If you're in Ocean City, there are a lot of people out on the boardwalk right now. These storms are still off to the west, but within the hour, these storms are going to make it down the shore. There they are right now. You can see this line of showers and thunderstorms from Winslow right down toward Morris River. That's where these storms are. There's another little line moving toward Cape May right now, likely the cause of that ominous sky we saw just a couple of moments ago. And as I zoom back to the north, this is the center of the cell we're most concerned about. So right over Ashland right now, you can see the heaviest rain. It's moving toward Evesham. It's moving toward Mount Laurel. It is starting to weaken, but as of right now, we still have that tornado warning in effect. You can see the initial tornado warning has been allowed to expire. That was the one that originally went into effect for portions of Salem and Gloucester counties. That went until 8:45. So we've seen that one expire. The threat has ended for those areas. Here are the areas that are still under a tornado warning this evening. Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester counties right now. That goes until 9 o'clock. So any place shaded in that red box, know your county, know where you're located, because if you're in that red box, you should be seeking shelter right now. The areas I'm most concerned about include Gibbsboro, Voorhees, Evesham, Cresson, over toward Christopher Mills, Taunton Lake, Medford Lakes, and up toward Medford proper. That's where the center of this cell and the center of that Doppler indicated rotation is heading. Let's see if we can see this on our Doppler radar, and I'm not really seeing much anymore as far as a rotation, what we call a velocity couplet. So what we're looking at here is our storm relative velocity. How fast is the storm moving in relation to the wind field around it? And you're looking for green embedded within the red. Not seeing too much of that. Maybe a couple of spots of a little bit of that velocity there as we look toward Berlin, as we look toward Clementon and Voorhees. A couple of little dots of green there, but nothing all that strong that would show us a Doppler indicated rotation right now. However, this storm is very, very potent. It's producing heavy rain, strong gusty winds. Not a ton of lightning with this one, which is good news because we did have 2 fatalities reported in western Pennsylvania earlier today with a severe thunderstorm that just popped up. It was a pop-up storm that came through. People were out at a park and 2 people struck by lightning. You do not want to be outside when these storms come through, and especially if you're in a tornado warning like these areas you're seeing on your screen here over portions of Camden and Burlington counties. You are seeing the threat for not only a tornado, but dangerous lightning and the threat for flash flooding. So if you can stay inside, stay in safety, at least until the threat passes, that's what you should be doing right now. And again, the safest place to be is a basement, underground, away from windows. If you can't be in a basement, low level, interior room, away from doors and windows. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but there's only so much we can tell you about this, except for a tornado warning means the tornado could be on the ground as we speak, creating damage as we speak. We have seen just in the past month several potential tornadoes, several tornado touchdowns in our our area, several straight line wind events as well, massive amounts of damage to parts of our area as well. So this is not something to take lightly. When you see a tornado warning pop up, that means we are seeing the potential for a tornado to be happening. Sometimes you see a spotted tornado, you get a spotter report. We don't get those very often around here. What we look for are those Doppler indicated rotation signatures, those velocity signatures that show us a tornado may be on the ground or may be about to happen in these areas, or at least that the potential is there for this particular cell to produce a tornado. Now, looking at it right now, to my eye, it's looking as though it is weakening. You can see in the past couple of frames, we're starting to lose that bow echo hook. We're not seeing much in the way of lightning. The storm seems to have slowed down a little bit. It looks to be transitioning to more of a heavy rainmaker, especially right along I-95. Storms now extending from Chemung down toward Mullica, down toward Vineland, and right into the Delaware Bay. We've got another little complex of rain and thunder moving into South Jersey right now, especially Cape May County. But this is the cell we've been watching for the past hour or so, moving through Washington Township, moving into Evesham right now. Doesn't have a strong rotation signature with it anymore, but the tornado warning remains in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. There's still enough that we're seeing the threat for a potential tornado. I also want to tell you about the flash flood warnings. Take a look right now at our camera now in Cape May. We just looked at this a few moments ago. Didn't look all that bad. Now it's starting to look even more ominous, and the rain coming down at a very good clip in Cape May County. These storms have been producing a ton of rain. Nobody taking shelter yet in Ocean City. It's dry there for now. You probably have another half hour, 45 minutes before the storms move through. But as we look at the warning page here, here's your tornado warning now in effect for, again, portions of Gloucester and Camden counties, including Gloucester, including Somerdale, Berlin, Evesham, over toward Medford Lakes. I want to show you the flash flood warnings because these are very dangerous as well. If you find yourself traveling down a road that's near one of our smaller creeks or streams around the area, they will be flooding and breaching their banks here tonight, especially in light of the heavy rain we saw this morning. So portions of Lower Bucks and Montgomery counties and the city of Philadelphia, especially North Philly and portions of the Northeast, these are the areas that are under a flash flood warning right now. You can see those dark clouds moving over our city skyline as we take a look at our roof cam right there. Dark, ominous clouds. The heaviest rain has just shifted to the east, but it dumped enough rainfall on our area that a flash flood warning was issued about 8:21 tonight, and that goes until 12:15. If the flooding is seen to recede, then they will cancel that early. But as of now, expect until at least midnight that some roads will be impassable in the greater Philadelphia area, Lower Bucks County, and into portions of Montgomery County. And this actually extends all the way down into portions of Delaware as well. Portions of Delaware County and Chester County. There's another flash flood warning that goes until 11:45 tonight. That includes Marple, Edgemont, Chadds Ford, right down toward Wilmington. A flash flood warning in effect for that area until 11:45. But of course, when we're looking at these warnings pop up, a flash flood warning is very, very dangerous. But the most dangerous type of warning there can be is a tornado warning. And that's why we try to stay with you until the warning expires. Because if anyone is tuning in right now, again, if this is not for your area, you may be thinking, well, why do I need to know this? It's because anybody that's in that red box right now is in a very dangerous situation. They may just be flipping on their television. If you're in this area, in this red shaded box over portions of Camden and Gloucester counties, you should know there is a tornado warning currently in effect until 9 o'clock. Another 8 or 9 minutes, that warning will be in effect. And that's because this storm has a history of Doppler indicated rotation. It moved from portions of northern Delaware and Delaware County right on into Salem County and Gloucester County, where it had a tornado warning, and enough rotation was still spotted on Doppler radar once it moved out of that original warning to issue another warning for portions of Gloucester, Camden, and Burlington counties, and that's where the storm is now. So let's zoom in on the center of that low and see where it's moving right now. The areas that are getting hit hardest right now include Evesham and Mount Laurel. This is moving quickly toward Medford and Medford Lakes, eventually toward Tabernacle, and does still have the potential of producing a tornado. I am seeing that velocity signature weaken just a little bit, but there is still at least enough of a potential for a tornado to form from this particular cell that a tornado warning remains in effect for this area. And again, even once this tornado warning expires, you may still see damaging winds and the threat for flash flooding from this particular storm as it moves east. It's not moving very quickly now. It's moving about 20 to 25 miles an hour, which means that heavy rain, that red shaded area you see, is moving over the same spots and dumping very heavy rain. And when you're talking about rainfall rates of 2 or 3 inches per hour, even if it just sits over you for a half an hour, you can get a quick inch, inch and a half of rain. and on saturated ground from the rain this morning, that can cause the risk for flash flooding. So a tornado warning again remaining in effect until 9 o'clock. Flash flood warnings go until around midnight, and those include portions of Delaware, Chester, Newcastle counties, as well as the city of Philadelphia, lower Bucks and lower Montgomery counties. Flash flood warning, meaning that flash flooding is happening, and if you try to drive through standing or rushing water on the roads, it could lead to a high water rescue. It could lead to a life-threatening situation. Here's a live look at Cape May, where some rain has moved in. This is not severe. No warnings for Cape May County right now, but you can see the rain coming down at a very good clip. This is round 2. We talked about this yesterday. The day would start with rain. We'd have a break in the action midday, and then another line of storms coming through in the evening. Most of these are not strong or severe, but this particular cell we've been watching, the one you see right there on your screen in the other box next to me, that is a severe thunderstorm with radar indicated rotation and the potential for a tornado. So this is moving east at about 25 miles an hour. Again, we're going to continue to track this for you, see where it's headed next. Can't even drag it quite that far, but this will be in Evesham by 8:55, Medford by 9:03, Southampton by 9:14, and Presidential Lakes Estates by about 9:30. By that point, hopefully, the tornado warning will have expired. If they do not issue a new one, then it's safe to say that the threat for a tornado has diminished. The rotation signature has diminished, but the threat for flash flooding, the threat for damaging winds, the threat for hail will not have diminished as the storm continues to move toward the coast. It will still retain its severe potential. So again, here's the little cell we're looking at. There's only one cell in our region that is severe right now, and right now it's moving through Evesham. It's riding right along Route 70 there. Lumberton getting it, Wood Lane, Willingboro, Mount Laurel seeing that heavy rain and strong gusty winds as well as that storm continues to move east at about 25 miles an hour. So pulling up the tornado warning once again, you can see the one that started it. That's where I have our screen set to. Let's delete that for you. That one is no longer in effect, and we'll zoom this over to the current warning, which is still in effect for portions of Burlington and Camden counties, as well as the extreme eastern part of Gloucester County. I don't think that area is in a threat anymore as the storm has moved east of you, but this was updated as of 8:38 this evening, and here is the current warning box, tornado warning, that goes until 9 o'clock tonight. So another 5 minutes or so we're seeing that warning in effect, and really it's into Burlington County that I think the greatest threat exists right now. Let's pull up that cell once again for you. So if you're in these areas, again, it doesn't look all that impressive on the radar picture right now. The storms are starting to look a little bit more scattered in nature. They're starting to weaken a bit. But that one cell, you see that dark red shading there right over Evesham, as it continues to move east, that's where we're seeing the heaviest rain come down. That's where the strongest winds are right now. And still, enough of a rotation detected on Doppler radar that the National Weather Service is going to let this warning run until around 9 o'clock. I do personally think that the threat for a tornado has come to an end. Not seeing much as far as that velocity signature is concerned. However, there is still the potential for the rotation to reform, especially with the wind field the way it's been today. So this storm, again, not only producing the threat for a tornado, but winds could gust upwards of 60 miles an hour. That could cause some damage. We haven't seen many hail reports with this, although I'll try to collect those and see if any roll into our newsroom. Haven't seen much lightning with this, which is good news. You can see the lightning is on right there. We get reports of strikes every time they happen. They pop up on our Doppler radar. Not seeing much with that storm as it moves across the region. So that's good news, because lightning is another dangerous facet of these storms. What we are seeing is heavy flooding rain and some rotation within that one particular cell. Enough of a rotation that tornado warning remains in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. Our flash flood warnings are back to the west. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see the National Weather Service extend that flash flood warning into portions of New Jersey, the areas that are getting hit with the heavy rain right now around Evesham, back toward Cherry Hill. You've been seeing that heavy rain for quite a while now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see flash flood warnings pop up for that area. But I'll pull up the flash flood warnings for you once again so you can see where they are located. And again, north and west of the city. That does include the city of Philadelphia, at least the northern half of the city of Philadelphia and much of Center City, back toward the main line, up toward Cheltenham, right on toward Ben Salem. That entire corridor just north of 95 is in a flash flood warning, I should say, right now. But our tornado warning is for Camden, Gloucester, and Burlington counties until 9 o'clock tonight. 3 more minutes. We will see if that is allowed to expire or if it is extended. My hunch is that it will expire at 9 o'clock tonight, in which case we will go off the air and return you to your regularly scheduled programming. But I do want you to know, even when that tornado warning expires, the threat for severe weather remains. The threat for flooded out roads, as you can see in those darker maroon shaded areas north and west of the city, including including the city of Philadelphia proper. Those are flash flood warnings. The tornado warning is further to the south and east right here as that storm moves right through Evesham toward Medford and Medford Lakes right now and close to Tabernacle. So that goes until 9 o'clock. But this storm will still retain its strength and produce very heavy rain and strong gusty winds as it continues to march eastward toward the coast. So the fact that they have not extended this warning further into Burlington County and into Ocean County leads me to believe that the National Weather Service has been seeing the same thing I've been seeing, which is that the rotation signature on Doppler radar has been weakening, meaning the threat for a tornado is diminishing as the storm continues to move eastward through Burlington County and into portions of Ocean County. I do think it will retain its potential to produce severe weather, especially in the form of dangerous straight line winds, gusts in excess of 50 miles an hour, very heavy rain, including flash flooding. So anyone traveling along 70 here this evening, you're going to experience some major slowdowns. If you're traveling along Admiral Wilson, an area that is prone to flooding, you're going to experience some slowdowns. If you live near the city, if you live near, for example, the Pennypack Creek, expect some flooding along those banks. If you live down in Delaware County along some of the smaller creeks there, expect flooding in those areas because heavy rain has been coming down with these storms as well and continues to fall heavily as the system marches east. So a very quick hitting band of thunderstorms. One storm turned severe and did have that tornado warning originally issued for portions of Delaware, Salem, and Gloucester counties. Now it's been extended into Burlington County, and that goes for one more minute. You can see these storms not looking that impressive right now, all except for the rainfall, which is coming down at a very good clip right along I-95, right along the New Jersey Turnpike as well, from Trenton down into Burlington County, and these showers and storms are marching toward the coast. I don't think you're going to see severe weather down the shore because these storms are starting to fall apart and look a little more raggedy. But again, this cell right here has exhibited some rotation. We'll see if any damage reports roll in, if a potential tornado was indicated by the damage reports, and also if we had any wind damage in general throughout this area. We'll see those roll in. I'll try to pull them up and see if we have any local storm reports right now. I don't think we have any that have rolled in just yet. Oh, there's one flash flood report. Let's pull that up real quick for you here. And this was in Chester County in Cheney. Flash flooding along Dilworthtown Road between Westtown Road and Creek Road. Fast moving water seen over the roadway. They got 1.62 inches of rain in just 45 minutes. So there's our one local storm report that we have for you. But happy to report the tornado warning has now expired as of 9 p.m. The threat for a tornado has diminished. Strong storms marching toward the coast. They'll continue to impact our area for the next hour or so. We'll have complete updates for you coming up on the CW Philly at 10 o'clock, and of course a complete report as well right here on CBS3, and that's at 11 o'clock tonight. I now return you to your regularly scheduled broadcast.
This has been a weather alert from CBS3 Eyewitness News.
I thought they were going to go back.